Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. I am DALILA binti AZLAN, one of the innovators of this project. I am going to present our project about portable body cooling device Mark II. The innovators of this project are me, DALILA binti AZLAN, together with my partner, which you can see on the left side of the slide, one AZZAM HAFIZI bin Muhammad ISWADI. So, are you curious about the PBCD Mark II? PBCD Mark II stands for Portable Body Cooling Device, which is an equipment specifically designed with a peltier as the cooling module to cool down the body faster and efficiently in between activity. This is better than submerging your entire body into water, which can take more time, or carrying an ice pack with you wherever you go, where the ice pack may melt. PBCD Mark II uses a DC regulator to regulate the voltage input as much as 6 voltage, so that its temperature is stable and it does not damage the peltier. So, how does this device works? This device uses a thermoelectric cooling. Thermoelectric cooling uses the peltier effect to create a heat flux at the junction of two different types of materials. A peltier cooler, heater, or thermoelectric heat pump is a solid-state active heat pump which transfers heat from one side of the device to the other, with consumption of electrical energy depending on the direction of the current. It can be used either for heating or for cooling, although in practice the main application is cooling. It can also be used as a temperature controller that either heats or cools. So now, how heat is released from the body? The heat is released from the body by 4 ways, which is conduction, which is 3%, convection, 15 to 27%, radiation, 40 to 60%, and evaporation, 20 to 30%. Where PBCD Mark II used the conduction part. This is the way of conduction, where it happens when the skin comes in contact with a colder object. Next is convection, where heat is transferred to the surrounding. Radiation is where heat is transferred via infrared waves. Next is evaporation, where heat is transferred through evaporation of water, which is from our body sweat. The methodology of PBCD Mark II, which this device consists of peltier, 2 heat sinks, and a fan, which you can see from the diagram. First, the fan is assembled with a heat sink. The function of the first heat sink is to absorb the heat that built up from the hot side of the peltier. The fan will release the heat that had been built up. Meanwhile, the peltier also acts as a cooler, which absorbing the heat from the first heat sink and released cool air from the cold side and transfer it to the second heat sink. So this is the making of PBCD Mark II. On the diagram on your left, you can see the device where the peltier is located, which you can see from the diagram. And at the side of the device, the ventilation chamber using a heat sink for the heat to exit through. And under the device, you can see there is a fan, which it is for releasing the built-up heat by flowing air inside and exiting through the ventilation. So, how are we going to use this equipment? Well, the user must put their wrist or palm on the second heat sink to feel the cooling effects. As it may feel uncomfortable, the user may use gels if they want to feel more comfortable. So, how does the cooling mechanism of the device works? Basically, radial and ulnar artery that carry blood from and pass through the handrest will transfer heat at the same time. The user must put their wrist on the surface of the upper heatsink of the device and the heat from the wrist will be transferred from the blood in the body to the cold part of the device, as it is the direction of body thermoregulation when the hotter part of the body is in contact with a colder object. After a few minutes, the body temperature of the user will drop and be back to the ideal body temperature, and the user will feel more comfortable to continue on their game or work. As you can see, this is the visual representation of the heat conduction from wrist to the PBCD Mark II. Heat is transferred through wrist, where the user will put your wrist or hand on the device, where the heat from the hand or wrist is transferred to the device to the colder part of the device. Thus, after a few minutes, the body temperature of the user will be back to normal and the user will feel more comfortable. In conclusion, cooling the body using PBCD Mark II is better than cooling down with traditional method. Users can also bring PBCD Mark II easily anywhere they go, as it is designed to be portable in the future. These are one of the achievements that we had achieved, that our school had achieved, and that is all from us, 2020 HTW Alexanders from Emerson Jeli content. Thank you for listening to our presentation.